Baruch Yahweh Shemel Shai, double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone, and honor to you brothers that be pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. I wanted to do this quick video. I'm not gonna go into too deep into some of the stuff that's gonna be said here. But this is pretty much something that I experienced myself, and I've seen a hell of a lot more of it. And it's how your mental state, your energy levels, your push, your fervor, your heart's willing desires, and which should be the kingdom, okay, and that's heavily affected with how you're eating, okay. Now we know through the teachings of the elders how that pretty much you're supposed to be into them herbs, okay, detoxifying your pineal gland, getting the toxins out that you're breathing in, that's mixed in with all of the stuff you're ingesting these days. So pretty much you should be on that level already, okay. The elders always push for you to be eating a healthier diet, man. So what I wanted to do here is to, really touch on just a little bit, okay, some of the health, the mental health side of it, okay, because it's sometimes we go into the bodily health benefits of it, but some of the problems that Jake be going through, okay, is on the mental side, and really it's an easy fix, okay. When you go into the scriptures, the book of Ecclesiastes, the second chapter, okay, and the book of Hebrews, you find out pretty much you're gonna catch hell within this society, okay. But the Most High had it to where you got these different, see, if you catch hell, for instance, and you get an ailment, well, what'd you do? You're gonna get the herbs, isn't it? Okay, you're gonna get the herbs. So if you're catching hell, which is likened unto a mental ailment, because really, if you think about the hell that you're catching, it's really most of the times it's gonna be something that's gonna be affecting you on the mental side. For instance, you might be at the job, Esau's acting a certain type of way. You might be at home, your woman's acting a certain type of way. It might go as far as you losing your work. Okay, the scripture says you still gonna be fed, but that's gonna make your mind feel a certain type of way, okay. But see how that's gonna be, how bad or how you gonna think about that is gonna be heavily based on what you're eating, right? So for instance, the men of old, when they was catching hell, they would say things like, if the Lord slay me, he was still deliver me, because they was in the right state of mind, okay. But if you eating all of this junk, okay, all the time, because we do eat junk, right? But everything's gonna be in this balance. It's gonna be in this proportion. If you're eating that all the time, then when that hell does come, you're gonna put even more hell upon you. Like I used the example of you using the herbs to get rid of a particular ailment. Well, half of them ailments you could get rid of by what's going on within your mind. They say a functional mind will get rid of them ailments. In other words, if you're in them hospitals sitting down, that's actually the worst thing you could do if you got something like a cough, or something where you don't need no surgery for it or anything like that. Something that needs time to heal. Well, really, you're supposed to having it to where your mind's functioning on something else that's of a higher level than depression. And that's what this article is going to be going into here. And really, that mental depression, that's linked to your diet. But when that hell comes, okay, that's gonna have it to where you're gonna put even more hell upon yourself instead of just taking it. Which is what the scripture says to do. Okay, the scripture says you're supposed to just take it when you're brought down to a lower state. Take it cheerfully. How you gonna take it cheerfully if you're diagnosed with clinical depression because you're eating some GMO foods because you didn't want to get into the herbs? You're adding burdens to yourself, man. Okay, so like I said, I've experienced this in my own life. Okay, so your diet might be, a little out of whack sometimes, and hell always comes, but you deal with it differently when you're on a somewhat decent diet to good, okay, then as opposed to when you're just not, when you're not supposed to be taking. When I say taking the herbs, that's supposed to be your primary food source. Okay, your primary food source is supposed to be stuff that's gonna be beneficial to your mind. So when the hell comes, you're gonna be able to mentally deal with it, as the scripture says. Okay, now obviously sometimes the Most High will have it to where things is not gonna go so apropos, if you will. But for the most part, that's going to be the golden standard. Okay, so it says the word hunger calls to mind starving children in developing countries, but in the United States, the real picture of undernutrition, right, is different. In some cases, children who are obese are malnourished because they're consuming the wrong types of foods. Okay, so what you see within the so-called Western diet, and everybody knows this now. Okay, you see a high carb, high calorie diet, but it's not actually a highly nutritional diet. And this calls to mind the scripture within the book of Daniel's, where Daniel pretty much said, "Look, let me and the people around me, we're gonna eat the pulses and the stuff that's gonna be beneficial, and then you let the other men eat of the king's meat, and see who's gonna be of a better visage, if you will." And lo and behold, them herbs were the ones that was going to be beneficial to you. Now, America's taking it one step further to where you're just eating junk out there. Okay, it's just complete utter. It ain't good for you, man. It just ain't good for you. And what's important to remember, most of the stuff you're supposed to be eating is supposed to be for medicinal purposes. Your body is a machine that functions off of those herbs, those micronutrients. Okay, that's gonna be found in them berries or something like that. Okay, and if you're just eating bread and beans all the time, I mean, look, if that's the situation that you're in, then hey, the Most High will have it to where you're gonna function. And I've seen that. You'll be wondering why can a particular individual just function within that way of being, because he's working in the spirit, man. The Most High has it to where that works. Okay, because hey, it's one thing to say this herb's gonna do this, that, and the third. Ultimately, that all goes back onto what Yahweh Hashem Yahushai wants. Okay, and if he wants you to, you could take all the herbs that you like this dude, the ex-CEO of Apple, you take all of them herbs, but the Most High didn't take that cancer away, man. So it all goes back onto the Yahweh Hashem Yahushai anyway. Okay, so it says, with hidden hunger, right, officially known as the micronutrition deficiency, people eat enough calories but fail to get essential nutrients such as vitamins and minerals, right? And it is well recognized issue in developing countries where organizations like the Food Program and many others work tirelessly to ensure that people, particularly children, get all the essential nutrition. So, they get into it. Now, let me get into this one, okay? And this ties into what I was saying. So it says here, depression, right, is rated by the World Health Organization as the leading cause of disease burden amongst high-income countries. Depression is characterized by a feeling of worthlessness or guilt, poor concentration, loss of energy. And these are. I hear Jake all the time telling me how tired they are and how fatigued they were. Okay, but I never really hear rarely you hear Jakes that. You have some Jakes, they take the herbs and they overdo it. They're putting together concoctions that, that's not necessarily advisable, because you can't go overboard with it. Okay, everything's gonna be in this intricate balance, Everything's gonna be just nice, just right, So it says, depression is characterized by the feeling of worthlessness or guilt or poor concentration. Jake's got hella poor concentration. Okay, but you can knock together a few herbs that's gonna sort you out. A little bit of spinach here, a little bit celery. Okay, some beetroot. Okay, so, throw some berries in there. You ain't gonna go crazy with it. Blend it, drink it, and you're gonna be on good concentration all day. Okay, hey, that beetroot is gonna give you that energy, man. Okay, it's gonna balance your hormones out, because you get a lot of Jake that are high 1 minute, low the next minute. That's gonna balance you out. But see, you're supposed to be thinking in your mind, okay, this is the problem that I have, and you got it to where you got all of these facets. You got the whole internet to fix your own issues, man. Okay, loss of energy. That's a crazy one, because you got a lot of Jakes. You ask him, why have you done this, down the third? I was feeling tired and this, that. Easy fix. Easy fix. You have to eat all day. Why don't you eat stuff that's gonna be beneficial for you to be pushing this truth? Okay. Thoughts of suicide Okay, that's gonna come with this truth anyway. Okay, because pretty much, I mean, not thoughts of suicide, but pretty much to be out of this place. Okay, because there is the big difference. Okay, you get some people out there, they want attention. Okay, well, our mind is like, we just don't want to be out here, man. By any means necessary, damn near by any means necessary. We ain't trying to get no what you call a dishonorable death, all right? Because suicide is like a dishonorable death, man. Okay, we're liking unto Paul. He's like, look, man, I would that I would be out of here. That I was at peace with the Father, but it's needful for me to be out here pushing this word, man. Okay, right? But a preoccupation with death, that's you ain't supposed to be getting that. Okay, and that's all a diet thing. You're gonna catch hell, but how are you gonna be catching hell, man? Okay, are you gonna catch it? Are you gonna catch it standing up and ready to take the hell and move on with your shit? Move on towards the kingdom, or are you gonna be taking it on your knees, hoping that someone's gonna stop by and wipe the tears off your eyes? Okay, it says loss or increase of appetite and weight, and Jake's got some weight issues. Okay, a disturbed sleep pattern, but that's that could be a demon. Okay, we know that we've experienced that as the men of the Lord. Demons will jump on you. You be on a good diet. Oh, you get on a good diet, and the Spirit of the Lord said, nah, you're getting too good now. I'm gonna slow your ass down because you be feeling hella good, and the Most High will put that hella on you. You miss a few hours of sleep that day, and then brings you back to some type of normality. Okay, it says slowing down physically, both physically and mentally. Agitation, restlessness. Jake is hella restless. Anxiety. Jake is hella anxious. It all goes back to the diet, right? All right. It's gonna be like routine. Okay, that's the thing. It's gonna be like routine. Okay, you wake up in the morning, you have one particular set of herbs. Come lunchtime, you have another particular. And the greatest thing about right now is you could put all of that in a blender, and you could have it as the condiment to whatever you're eating. Hey, hell, I'll go as far as saying, you might have a shit diet. Well, it don't really, you want to really make that better, but as long as you're hitting them herbs, for the most part, you're gonna be all right. You don't want to eat shit all the time, but if you're having it to where you're doing the smoothies, the green smoothies, the super mean green lean green smoothies, then you're gonna be fine. And that's what you really want to use as your beverage, And then sometimes you might have the liquor, but there's ways of getting them herbs and them liquors. Okay, if you work in them bars, then you know how to navigate through a liquor, all right, and have it to where you have the bars. For instance, if you're feeling some type of you got some type of poison and you want to use the mint, but you want to get you with the lines, you might have a mojito. There's ways around these things, but pretty much that's gonna be the lesson for today. Hopefully it was of edification. Most of this stuff you should already know, but I just wanted to go into the link between the food and the brain. Okay, so with that I'm gonna say, all praise unto Yahweh Shimi Al Shai. Okay, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone that showed us this path of this truth and how to navigate through this world, through this truth, okay, and ultimately through the scriptures, Lord's will. And honestly, brothers, pushing this truth in sincerity. So Lord's will. I'll see you on the next one. Shalom.